Warning everyone, even people in the industry can get ripped off once in a while. Hey everybody, and welcome to Travel Secrets with TV's Dave Galvan. This is episode 70. How did we get to 70 already? Holy cow, that's insane. I am here to tell you in 10 minutes or less exactly how I got ripped off in Italy by a tour guide company. So I'm furious. I'm going to tell you this because I got ripped off. And I'm going to tell you this because I want to make sure none of you have to go through the total circus that my wife and I had to endure. If you're looking for the short version, look, here it is. I will not be booking my favorite Italy ever again. Period. Okay, so our recent trip to Italy, it kind of started simply enough. We went to Rome, and naturally you go to Rome, you got to see the Colosseum. You know, it's an icon, it's a legend. You got to know exactly what happened there. And it's just cool. So I kind of like my trips like this to be kind of organized because you're in a foreign land and everything's in a different language, and I want to speak English and I want to know what's happening. Kind of like the amazing tour we ended up taking in Montenegro. So I logged into a back-end travel website called Expedia Tap. It's run by Expedia, but if you don't, because you probably don't know and you have no reason to, the TAP, T-A-A-P, it stands for Travel Agent Portal, okay? Now, it's supposed to be a reliable and secure way of doing kind of quality tours and such for clients and personal trips alike. Only travel agents can actually be a member of this. So if you do a Google search on it, look, you're not going to be able to join. But travel agents can, and we get a little bit more of a discount off of, say, hotel stays and tours like this and so forth. So, it's a kind of a nice go-to. So I found a tour for two. You know, it looks legitimate, it looks professional, and it's operated by a company called My Ultimate Italy. I got the booking confirmation number, and we're all set. I paid $160 for the two of us to take the above-ground tour of Italy. We didn't have time to do the above ground and the below ground, so I just chose the above ground, knowing that the Colosseum's not going anywhere anytime soon. Little did I know, I just handed my money to a company that seemingly has zero interest in actually giving us a tour. So the instructions were to meet up at a specific location, which is about 3 blocks away, which didn't make any sense, but whatever. We arrived on time. We were not the late people. We respected the schedule. We showed up. The paperwork that I still have somewhere, says 3:15 because the tour starts at 3:30. We arrived at 3:15. Exactly, on the dot. So what happened next was the first signs that things were going off the rails. This woman from the company, she's wearing a t-shirt that says My Favorite Italy, but the font is like tiny. You really had to know what you were looking for. I didn't. Fortunately, my wife spotted it. She didn't greet us with a smile or a welcome to Rome. Instead, she just looked at her watch and she started running. Come on, come with us. Now, here's something you need to know about me. I have a heart problem. I don't run. I can't run. My body isn't physically built for a 100-meter dash through a crowded streets of Rome in the heat. I'm not moving quickly. And I told her this. Did she slow down? No, she kept running, sprinting towards the Colosseum like she's trying to qualify for the Olympics. So my wife and I are struggling to keep up, weaving through crowds of tourists, dodging and weaving like we're playing football or something. We're dodging all the selfie sticks and trying not to have a medical emergency on the cobblestone. By the time you've reached the actual Colosseum building, I was gassed. My heart was hammering. Fortunately, I have a pacemaker to keep things in check. So I was already kind of questioning why I paid for this service. So we get to the structure and the woman points to a line. She goes, here. And she tells us to look for someone, go inside and look for somebody named Deanna, or maybe it was Gina. I don't know. It was hard to tell through the panting and the chaos. And her instructions were, and this is pretty much a quote, look for Dina. If you can't find her, well, then you're in the Colosseum. So just kind of look around. And then she turned around and she left. Seriously. We were dumbstruck. I mean, just look around. That's the tour. I paid for a guided experience. I paid for someone to explain the history of this place. Gladiators, architecture, the legacy of the Roman Empire. I didn't pay to just be abandoned at a gate with a vague kind of look around. And good luck. Have a nice day. Good luck. Oh, but wait. Oh, but wait, it gets better. So we waited in this stupid line she put us in, and we stood there as the sun was kind of beating on us, and we finally reached the front, and this guy points to us in his broken English. He's like, show us your tickets, and I show him the tickets. I have paper tickets. And he looked at it, and he shook his head, he's like, wrong line. I was furious. What do you mean the wrong line? And he's like, my Ultimate Italy put us here. And he's like, he didn't care. To him, we were just two more confused Americans in a sea of thousands. He pointed to another line. He's like, this line is for tours. I said, we have a tour. They left us behind. No, you two are alone. You're not with a tour. You got to go to the other line over there. Oh my God. Make this end, please. So we had to start over. And at this point, I wasn't just tired. I was furious. We moved to the correct line. We went through security. Actually, that was pretty like the easiest part of the whole thing. And the security at that line was pretty cool because you go through security, right? They don't just let people, in this day and age, walk into something like the Coliseum without you going through a metal detector. They want to make sure you're, not going to blow something up because you're crazy. Now, if you haven't been to the Coliseum lately, let's paint a picture for you. It's a mosh pit of humanity. There are thousands of people everywhere. It's loud, it's hot, and it's kind of overwhelming. And we're looking around. We're looking for someone named Dina or Gina or whoever, t-shirt. I mean, we're walking around. We're looking at faces. We're looking for any kind of guide, and there's nothing. Not a soul. It was impossible. And there's a bajillion people in this thing. I mean, you're shoulder to shoulder with people. So we ended up spending this tour walking around aimlessly. We didn't know what we were looking for beyond the obvious. We didn't have any context of what we were looking at. We had no stories. We essentially paid this massive premium to walk around ourselves through a building we could have entered for at a fraction of the price if we had bought tickets directly. We were ghosted in the middle of one of the busiest tourist attractions on the planet. Now, mind you, since we had no idea what we were looking at and everything kind of looks the same, after about 20, 30 minutes, my wife and I were kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done. I mean, okay, I get it. The Coliseum. We had no context what we were looking at. It was just a big old building to us. So we kind of just left and went and had lunch. So as soon as we got back home, not the hotel, but done with the entire trip, I contacted Expedia Tap and I filed a formal complaint. I laid out exactly what happened, the forced running, the heart condition, the wrong line, the vague instructions, the missing guide, and of course, the total lack of service. And I said, I want a refund because I didn't get what I paid for. If you pay for a steak and the waiter brings a glass of water and tells you, look around the kitchen, you don't pay for the steak. However, and here's where it gets funny. My Ultimate Italy is actually fighting the refund. They are actually arguing that they provided a tour, that they are digging their heels in and refusing to acknowledge that their representatives failed us on any single level. This is where the casual part of my tone really disappears. This is predatory. It is a scam. They took my money, they shoved me towards a gate, and they hoped that I was too tired or too confused to even fight back. Well, they picked with the wrong guy. In actuality, if they refuse ultimately to issue me a refund, I'm just going to contest it on my credit card and I'll just get my money back this way. I wanted to go through Expedia Tap because I wanted Expedia Tap to know exactly how they treated us and exactly how they treat other people. If enough people complain, what's going to end up happening is Expedia Tap will simply just drop them completely. So here's why you should avoid My Ultimate Italy. When you book a tour, you are paying for more than just walking in. You should not be forced to run through streets. You need to have a guide who is actually present. And the whole point is to have the peace of mind knowing that you're in the right place at the right time. And My Ultimate Italy failed on all three. Now, I've worked in this travel business for quite a while, and I know things can go wrong and buses break down and people get sick. And, when a company refuses to make it right, when they're actively fighting against a refund for a service they clearly did not provide, that tells you everything you need to know about their ethics. With that said, what they should have done is actually put us in the next tour. How hard would have that been? A couple of extra bodies in the next tour? So I will not be booking with My Ultimate Italy ever again. I will be telling every colleague, every client, and every reader to stay far, far away from them. And this is a lesson to everybody. Even when using professional portals like Expedia Tap, the end provider matters. All right, stay safe out there, travelers. And remember, if someone tells you just to look around for a guy named Dina in a crowd of 5,000 people, you're not on a tour, you're on a wild goose chase.